What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Reality TV RHAPpy Hour. My name is Jordan Parhar, and today we are back talking about Big Brother Canada 5 live on a Wednesday night on RHAPhasAwebsite.com. And joining me today are some great friends of mine. First is a man who we know is the real king. Sorry, William. It's Brent Wolgamott, ladies and gentlemen. Brent, how are you?
I'm great. Do you realize that at the beginning of every show, you do the same thing that Jeff Probst does on Survivor? He's like, next time on Survivor. And here it's like, oh, the reality TV. Yeah, it's the same thing.
That is so true.
I'm living for it. We're gonna miss it, Jordan, when you're gone.
Yeah, right. It's I learned from the greatest JP of all time. I had to take that and include it in my repertoire. But yeah, I didn't even realize that's where I got it. But Brent, you were really onto something. Wow.
Thank you. It's a good hot take. Yep.
That's so funny.
Bravo, Brent Wolgamott. That's very good. Yeah, I just always have done the same intro, and for some reason it was in my brain, and I was like, why do I? Like, Rob doesn't do that. Like, why?
That's catchy.
It's gotten progressively more pregnant.
It's unique
as time has gone on. Like, at the beginning, it was like, this edition of the reality TV, but now it's like, oh.
Somebody should do go through and look back at all the old episodes and see where the progression, when does the
evolution,
when does it really shift? Because you're right, Brent. I think it was a gradual thing. It was not a thing at first, but slowly over time has morphed into a thing. Our second panelist tonight, you've already heard her voice. It's the great Melissa Deni, ladies and gentlemen. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. I was just telling you guys about how Trevor Boris retweeted me tonight about the comp. Ooh. So, I'm kind of like a celebrity. It's like, whatever. It's fine. Right? It's cool.
Yeah. Look at you, Melissa. Look at you go. You're telling me about how
I'm going places.
You are going places, and also telling me before this podcast how you've hung out with Hayden Voss before, not Hayden Moss. So there you go,
not
Melissa.
Hayden Moss. Hayden Voss.
Hayden Voss. Pretty impressive, Melissa. There we go. You're moving on up. Hayden Voss, Trevor Boris. Who knows what's next?
We don't know.
On the horizon for Melissa. All right, so let's set things up for you guys. We are live again on RHAPhasAwebsite.com. We've got the chat room going if you want to see that. Chatwing.com/RHAPpy Hour. This is a live show, so if you want to get your questions in, you can tweet them to me. I am at Jordan Parhar on Twitter. Use hashtag RHAPpy Hour, and we will get into those questions throughout the show. And just, I've had people say like, hey, why don't you take my question, blah, blah, blah. Best way to get your questions asked on the show, ask something that I have not talked about on the podcast, and you will probably do the question at the end. So if you want to wait to submit your questions till I give the curtain call or whatever, save it for then, and then I will be checking the questions later on. So there you go, just to let you guys know. Also, a couple things of note. One, John Party was scheduled to be on this podcast. Unfortunately, John was unable to join us. John is a bartender. He thought he was going to be off work in time. Very busy for him right now, so he was unable to get off of his shift. So John sends his apologies. So just want to let you guys know, Brent is pinch hitting. So Brent, we appreciate you jumping on board to help out my boy Big JP. And I'm sure you've got plenty of things to say, so we couldn't have found a better person to fill in. And the second thing I want to let you guys know about is, if you haven't already, there are tickets still available for the RHAPpy live Big Brother Canada 5 recap show in Toronto. I believe that is in 2 weeks' time, so that's very soon. It's going to be at the Sheraton Hotel. You can find those tickets by going to RHAPhasAwebsite.com/TorontoBBCan. And there, all the information for that is there. Rob's going to be there. Brent's going to be there. Alex and Taryn are going to be there. Some Big Brother Canada alum are going to be there. So it should be a really fun night. Definitely check that out if you are in the greater Toronto area. Okay, guys, let's just jump into it. We're going to talk about the episode first, and then we'll jump into the live feeds. Probably going to talk briefly about the episode, so apologies in advance to the non-spoiler people. But first, guys, let's just talk about how stupid it was that we got left on this cliffhanger here. For a lot of us here, for me, and Melissa, you said the same thing to me before we got on. The main reason we watched this episode was to see the secret veto ceremony, see it played, see what happens. It's one of my favorite moments from Big Brother Canada 2 when Allison pulls the veto out of her butt. I wanted to see the faces of these BB Can 5 house guests. How frustrating is this, Melissa?
It was so frustrating. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see, how it went down, because I remember them saying on the feeds afterwards that there was an alarm sound and stuff like that. So I guess we did get to see the alarm, but that's not what I want to see. I want to see it happen. I want to see how it went down, how it was secret, how nobody knew it was William, what William's reactions or facial expressions were like. I wanted to see, Kevin's reaction on getting taken down. I just wanted to see it all tonight. And tomorrow's not a filler episode, so I don't know why they decided to save the big event for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, I guess there was a lot that was packed into this episode, but I mean, come on, like how much extra would that have taken? Maybe a couple of minutes? I don't think it would have taken that long. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Brent?
This was some shady boots bullshit. That's what this was. This is Big Brother Canada being a little bit too cute by half, screwing with the fan base. They know that people wanted to see this. We're all like Melissa on the edge of our seats. I mean, I remember thinking to myself, okay, I can't miss tonight because I really want to see the secret veto. I want to see it play out. I wanted to, and you know what? You're screwing with us, and stop doing that. There was no reason not to show the complete veto ceremony tonight. We can't even talk about who the nominees are yet because you didn't tell us what happened. So, I don't know. Is Kevin going to be taken off? Is Bruno going to get taken off? Is what's his face? William the King going to use the veto on Bruno? Oh, I wonder. Like, come on.
And Stephanie in the chat just said, okay, yeah, as if the alarm would go off and then he wouldn't use the veto. Like the secret veto wouldn't.
Yeah.
So, like, clearly it's used. Like, they can't trick us into thinking, like, is it going to be used? Is it not going to be used? Like, no, of course it's going to be used, because why would the alarm go off if nothing was like, okay, the alarm goes off, nothing happens, everyone's done, the veto ceremony's over. No, that's not going to happen. So great, we just missed it.
Yeah, it's just like,
well,
why?
obviously you guys know. I mean, like, let's just spill the tea for a second. I mean, obviously he's used the secret veto on Kevin. I'm just going to tell you that if you're watching the episode, because otherwise the alarm. He just said the alarm wouldn't have gone off. Now, I'm not going to tell you who the replacement nominee is, but, William has gone and used the secret veto on Kevin. That's why the alarm went off. And we're going to have to wait and see once we get into the spoiler section who Dimitri puts up in his place. But, I mean, Jordan, to proceed as if we don't know at this point, I feel like is not giving enough credit to our audience. Like, they know. Come on.
No, our audience knows. I'm just saying, I mean, I imagine if you're listening to this podcast, you know it was used. I imagine if you listen to this podcast, you also know who is the replacement nominee, but there is a small percentage you don't. So we will respect you guys for the time being, but we will get into that later. But it's just so frustrating. I don't understand what they're going for. But hey, BB Can gonna BB Can.
Yep,
that's what they're gonna do. So all right, if that's what they're gonna do, that's the hand that we're being dealt. So I guess we'll have to find out tomorrow. But there's also too, like, there's so much aftermath from the veto as well.
They're gonna have so much.
It's like, why didn't you just put this in tonight?
It literally would have been 2 seconds, just like a 2-second thing where it just happens at the very end. There's no reason for it. There's no reason to like keep us like on the hook, like, because we already know that it's going to be used. So it's not really like we're on the hook. It's just, I guess, who's going to be the replacement nom. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is very frustrating. Another thing that I know Brent Wolgamott was very frustrated about tonight was this power of veto competition. The 100 minutes in heaven, basically 100 minutes in hell, the competition for Big Brother Canada 3, just with a
which was also
twist. I would agree. I mean, and that was not when Zach was trying to save himself? I was out of the house at that point, so I can't remember.
That was right after the have not power came in. Bruno had just been evicted. There were 6 people left, and Ashley couldn't even compete, even though her nominations were invalid.
Yes.
So Godfrey, Sarah, and Brittany had the upper hand. If you have a majority in that competition, you can basically write your own check.
Yeah, this is, I mean, there has to be another way to do. I think they like the endurance aspect. I think they liked, for them, they consider this a success because we get Ica freaking out over the rabbits and Ica freaking out and everyone freaking out over the rats. So I get that they want that. I just feel like there is a better way to do this competition without screwing over the two nominees and giving them basically zero chance of winning this thing.
To win the veto. Oh, Jordan, I have a suggestion. Why don't they buy $10 worth of plywood and put it between each
dividers?
I mean, I'm lost as to how did they think this was going to play out any differently than the last time we saw this competition? Totally lazy on the part of Big Brother Canada. I don't understand why they brought this competition back in exactly the same form it was before, just a different theme, basically putting lipstick on a pig. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's interesting, Brent, because these comps this year, it seems like there has been a little bit of this recycling, whereas before, the big thing that everyone loved about Big Brother Canada is the comps every year. We don't see the same things over and over and over again.
I'll give Trevor Boris a pass. I mean, in this way, I don't mind them recycling comps. Big Brother USA recycles comps. We see the slide every year, and some of us look forward to it. It's interesting. We see different things every year, the before and after at the Final Four. We see that every year. The point here is that you don't want to recycle a bad comp, and this is a bad comp. It wasn't fun the first time around. Melissa, I know you're with me on this. Come on.
Well, I think that it's an unfair competition, and I think that there's very easy solutions to it, which is, put up dividers, make it so nobody can see, make it so people can't see who gets out first or who presses their button. Like, don't give any indication that someone has pressed their button. That way, everybody just stays in their room. You press it when you think it's done, and then you go. But I will say that, like, as an audience member, I loved watching the comp. I thought it was really fun to see. It's just like a fun one where, they bring in the different punishments and people react differently, and you kind of see who wants it more. I kind of hoped that they would do more prizes or rewards or something if you leave. Like, they had the strawberries, I guess, but that's not really I don't know. I feel like they should have done with more stuff that you had to grab or hold or do something with, rather than just sit there and still be able to count, because you could just ignore all the stuff that they were doing. It should have been that they would hand you something to eat or something. I don't know, but I will say that as an audience member, I really liked watching it. I thought it was really funny to see Ica freaking out and to see William in love with the waiter. I just liked it.
I really like your suggestion about offering prizes, because I feel like there were people in this veto competition that didn't give a damn. There were people there that were just there to be there. Dre and William really didn't want to win the veto. They just didn't want Kevin and Bruno to win the veto. So if you put prizes up there for them to win, money or, have not passed or anything like this, I'm sure they would have gone out. And then at that point, I feel like if it's even, then the competition becomes more fair. But if you have a majority alliance going against two nominees, there's no way the nominees can win this competition, because you just pick two people to get up right after the people who are on the block hit their buzzer, and there's no way they can win.
They should just blow dollar bills over top of them or something, so that way they have to grab it and they can't just sit there pounding on their chest to try and get the time right. I don't know, something that makes them use their hands and not focus for a second.
So William wins this power veto. He is 7 minutes over. Everybody else is way over. Why do we think that it takes every single time? It seems like they do this. People are way over. So Brent, is the lesson for future Big Brother players to always just jump out early on this one?
Well, no, I think this is what was happening. The people in the competition didn't want to leave before Bruno and Kevin left, because they wanted to jump out right after them. Bruno and Kevin are aware that people are doing that, so they're trying to combat that by staying in the competition for as long as possible, hoping that everybody goes over. And if let's say they go over 100 minutes and then Kevin jumps out and then, Demetrius jumps out, then Kevin would win the power of veto. But it would have to be really, really lucky.
Yeah, very, very lucky. And unfortunately, it ultimately works out for Kevin. Not in the way he envisioned it, but alas, things are looking good for Kevin for the time being, at least. And we'll talk more about that in the live feed portion. Another thing from this episode that was interesting. So we saw a lot of, there was, talk of debating over, who's going to, whether to use the veto or not and all this stuff. And Ica's saying, no, Dre, tell William don't use it. And she's telling William, I'm the queen. Listen to me. Don't go with your peasant boy. Don't use this veto. And she tells Dre, talk to William, get him to not use it. And then this leads to this conversation between Dre, Kevin, and William. And Dre basically tells Kevin to his face, you are not going to work with William in this game. You're not going to help his game out, and I don't like you and I don't trust you. To which Kevin responds, yeah, I have no defense to that. Is that how that all went down, Brent?
Well, no, obviously it was a lot longer than that. And I do, even though there was a chill in the room watching the conversation, I do feel like they made it, to me, it didn't seem as chilly watching it on the feeds. The editing made it seem like Dre was really being a complete bitch, whereas I felt like watching the feeds and, with continuity and the editing that they did to the conversation, it was slightly more friendly, or at least not threatening. In the way they painted it on the screen was Dre was basically threatening Kevin, like, I don't trust you. I don't think you have either of our best interests at heart. I think you're playing William. Basically, she's calling him a phony, and she's calling their relationship a phony. I have to say that this is, again, a misplay on Dre's part. I really wish she would stop with the whole, William, I want to show you that Kevin is playing you. William doesn't care anymore if Kevin is playing him. Yeah. He just likes Kevin. So she's totally going about this all in the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Big Brothers sometimes is people are just, they don't, like you said, Brent, people are going to think strictly emotionally. And
she's tunnel visioned about this, trying to convince William. I know, Melissa, you're with me on this. She's trying to convince William that Kevin is playing him. And I feel like there was like a small victory for her in that conversation, because she eventually did get Kevin to admit that, there was an element of playing him at times. But Kevin admitted, as we all suspected, and I believe it's true, that he really does care about William and really wouldn't do anything to screw him over in this game. Not because he actually cares about him, but because it actually is beneficial for his own personal gain.
Now, another thing on this episode tonight was, we are presented again, and it's funny, I saw this on one of the commercials before the show started that basically said Ica is the captain of the Odyssey. Lots of, the show is very on board with Ica. Ica's doing a great job, by the way. But at the same time, I found it interesting, and Taron Armstrong pointed this out. He said, based on what, you guys have been talking about on the podcast the past couple of days, it presented it in that moment where Dre goes to Kevin. It was presented as if Ica is the one that is playing Dre. When I saw a tweet from Taron saying, really, this is how they're presenting this? #backwards week. Is this, what do you think about all this, Melissa? Is Dre being played, or is Ica the one being played here?
I think everybody's kind of playing each other, but I don't think it's as clear cut as the show wants to make it seem, which is that Ica's got all her little puppets kind of doing whatever she wants. Dre is playing Ica a lot because Ica just trusts Dre. For some reason, no matter what Dre does, Ica trusts her, and she doesn't want to go against her. And Dre, the entire time behind Ica's back, is sitting there saying, we've got to get Ica and Dimitri's out. Like, we just got to get them out. So the entire time, Dre is playing Ica and acting to her face as if they're, together till the end. She's not going to go against her, but really she totally is. So it's not as clear cut in Ica's favor as the show wants to make it seem. But at the same time, Ica's playing everybody as well. So everyone's basically playing everybody.
Everybody's playing everybody. You on board with that, Brent?
I'm on board with it to an extent. I will say that I don't believe that Ica is really playing Dre. I really do think that Ica thinks that Dre wholeheartedly has her and Dimitri's best interests at heart, at least for the time being, and she couldn't be more wrong. That's just totally wrong, and it's still the most amazing thing about this week is not Kevin Martin coming off the block via the secret veto. It is that Dre somehow, up until this point, has not yet been exposed for the snake that she is. I mean, she really is. She's people call Jackie the rat floater. I wouldn't call Dre a floater, but she's definitely a rat. And she goes around and makes sure it's a great game. I have to give her credit, but I feel like her number's up sooner than later.
All right. Is it time to talk about feeds yet? You guys want to get into it? All right. Let's do it. Let's move on. Moving on. All right. So if you do not want to know spoilers in terms of who has been named as the replacement nominee or any hints as to who is likely to be leaving the house tomorrow, we will bid you farewell. Thank you for joining us and for tuning in. Yeah, we'll see you, I guess, soon. Rob will have an exit interview coming up in the next few days, and the LFC will be back on Sunday with their show, which you will not, I keep doing this, which you will not listen to because you're not listening. If you're leaving now, you're not going to want to listen to that show because it's spoilers only. But anyway, let's just get into it. Live feeds, bam. Melissa, what happened at the, or with the secret veto? Kevin was taken off of the block by William, who went up in his place.
Not much. Go ahead. No, I'm just kidding.
Karen went up in his place, and Karen kind of went a little crazy.
Yeah, you think? A little crazy. Just a bit. Just a little crazy.
Tiny bit. Just a tiny bit crazy. She's on another level this week, or these past couple days. It's been very interesting to hear her crazy theories about what she think went down, like how she's super pissed at random people. Like she's super mad at Kevin. I mean, obviously she's always mad at Kevin, but she's really mad because she's like blaming Kevin for her being on the block. She's blaming Bruno, saying, "Oh, good move, Bruno. Good move, Bruno." And it's like, if Bruno had the secret power, why would he take Kevin off the block and not himself? She keeps saying, like, she keeps telling everyone, I saw William, you know, she saw William come out of a hatch in the wall. Yeah. And she told him, you must have a secret power veto. And instead she's like, so it must be Jackie. Jackie must have had it. Kevin must have had it. She just, how does she not automatically jump to, oh my God, it was William?
So she has not picked up that she has not accused William of having this yet, Melissa?
I mean, she said it. She's
also said that
everybody had it. So it's not been like completely like it was William. Although she did tell Bruno, I guess, that she did see William coming out of a hatch. I think it was she told Bruno. But she has so many crazy theories for this week. She keeps thinking that there's going to be 2 votes, that Bruno's going to get 2 votes, that she's going home. Like she has I don't even know where to begin with her theories at this point.
It's paranoia. That's what it is. It's paranoia. Look, she has not been on the block before, and it's always a new experience for a Big Brother player the first time they're put on the block. Some people, as you can see, handle it really well. Other people, not so much. Karen is somebody who I felt like this was going to happen. I remember when Dimitris and Aika were talking about, okay, if William does use the regular veto, of course they didn't know about the secret veto. If he uses the regular veto, who are we going to put up? We're probably going to put up Karen, much to the chagrin of me, because Karen is probably, as Taryn stated on the show on Monday, probably the most loyal to Aika and Dimitris, or at least was up until the veto meeting on Monday. But and I'm not even sure exactly where Karen totally stands. I just know that she doesn't like Kevin Martin.
Yeah, although actually today she had an apology conversation, not like an apology, but I guess like a are you okay?
Yeah. Sorry, I think something just went down the wrong throat. Continue. I'm just gonna mute my mic for a sec.
She had a conversation with Kevin and Bruno where essentially she kind of apologized in her own way for, you know, the way that the whole thing went down and how angry she got at them and the things she was saying to Kevin, and they kind of all made up, and they jokingly, you know, talked about final 2s and how everything is just like kind of crazy right now. So Karen's kind of calmed down. She said, like, am I not allowed? I got, you know, totally blindsided in this competition. Am I not allowed to have a little freak out? And they were like, you're allowed to have a freak out. You're fine. So, I mean, they were joking and laughing in the hot tub. So, I mean, Karen's kind of toned it down, but it was really funny for a while.
It was really funny. It was really funny for a while, and it went on a little bit too much for my taste. I
Thank you, Brent. Thank you. It was too much. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. People, you know, Rob, Taryn, Alex were on the Monday show, and they're like, it's so funny, blah, blah, blah.
Do you want me to say it? Or I feel like it would be better coming from me because you're friends with them.
Yeah, you can say it. But just from my perspective, I get where they're coming from. But I just felt like it was a it was a little much for my taste.
Yeah, she's getting a pass.
Buddy.
She's getting a pass because she's the old lady in the house. And if anybody else said this, I think the fans would come down really harsh on them. I mean, was it feeds gold? Yes. I didn't like to see Kevin get attacked. I mean, he's a big boy. He can handle it. But I felt like it must be really hard to be Kevin when you have somebody in the house who just irrationally hates you and blames you for everything. I mean, it is funny when you think about it, but when you project yourself and say, well, what if I was that person? It can't exactly be very comfortable. I don't know the right word to describe it, but I can't imagine, like, I'm putting myself in Kevin's place and thinking to myself, I'm interacting with somebody like Karen. I just don't think I would like it very much. And she also, to me, went outside the box a little bit with her throwing shade at Kevin for being a little fluid with his sexuality and playing in different sandboxes. And I felt like that was uncalled for. And I mean, I can throw shade at Kevin because it's fun, but Karen in the house is more mean-spirited about it. And I felt like it was a bad look. So she gets a pass because she's a stupid.
I didn't like some of the personal attacks. Like, I don't think that you should personally attack someone. I thought that for a while it was like kind of funny and in jest, and then when it starts getting personal, I don't like that very much. But I did love when Kevin was like, so is our final 2 still on? And she was so upset by that comment. It was so great.
And
I thought that it was totally a joke. I thought it was hilarious that Kevin said that and he was willing to joke about it. And I thought he kept his composure very well. I think it's really hard when someone's just attacking you to, keep it in and not attack back. So I thought that was really good. And I thought that some of the stuff that she said eventually when they had their conversation in the hot tub today, she took some of it back and she said, I didn't really mean that. Like, I was just really worked up, stuff like that. And asking like, did I hurt you when I said that? So it was good that she kind of toned it down and apologized. And I thought it was really funny because Bruno was so hurt by the fact that she said she didn't like any of their talks. Because like when she was mad, she told him, I didn't like any of our talks. I didn't enjoy any of our talks. And he's like, you didn't enjoy our talks? I loved our talks. And so the entire time they were making up, he's like, but did you like our talks? Like he kept directing it towards him. It was so funny.
Bruno's great. I love Bruno.
He was great.
He's a good dude. Speaking of Bruno, I mean, first, there's been lots of talk. I think Taryn's done a sufficient job talking about and Rob and Alex in terms of whether William should have used both vetoes or not. So I don't think we need to get too much in depth with that. But now that it's Karen and Bruno on the block, now that Karen has calmed things down, does Bruno have a hope in hell of staying in this game, Brent?
Does he have a hope? Yes. It is a slim one. But the problem is I feel like he's sort of two minds about this. On one hand, I feel like that him and Kevin believe that their best hope of getting Karen out of the house is for Karen basically to self-evict. Like they want Kevin to antagonize Karen. So, this little chat near the hot tub today, I don't exactly know if that was in their best interest for her to calm down. You don't want her to calm down. You want her to say things that expose her and that get people thinking and that shake up the sand in the hourglass. You know what I mean? On the other hand, he does have a play via Ica, although and I'm going off on a tangent here for a second, but Kevin Martin and Bruno were, I'm not listening to Karen for too long. They were talking about making a play without Ica and Dimitris, but I feel like that play is dead. Their only play is with Ica and Dimitris. They have to get Ica to be on board with saving Bruno. And she does seem amenable to that. And she even admits that if Bruno stayed, that he probably wouldn't go after her. I'm sort of at a loss as to why she won't keep him. I feel like she won't. She said that I'm going to do whatever Dre's going to do this week. And Dre obviously doesn't want to keep Bruno because Dre doesn't have a relationship with Bruno. And Bruno rationally hates Dre. And I say that because I feel like that Dre has given him a lot of lip and Bruno's sort of used to schmoozing his way with people, and Dre kind of doesn't put up with that bull. So I feel like he doesn't like it when people call him on his game. You know what I'm saying? So is there a play? Yes, but it involves Ica and Dimitris. And so far they do not seem to be willing to pull the trigger. And I think that they really should.
Oh no, Melissa. Zio Bruno, my boy. That's just. I mean, Ika's hit list, really. I mean, she's got Netta, Cindy, Bruno, all back to back. Wow. Well done by Ika Wong.
Let me ask you this question, Melissa. So we're sitting out here, we're omniscient, and we know that Dre is plotting against Ika. If you're Ika and Demetrius, do you, thinking that Dre is with you, do you keep Bruno in the house this week? What do you think?
If I'm Ika, I think I would keep him in the house because I think it's very important that she noticed that the vets are dwindling and the vets are going home one by one, and eventually she's going to be the only vet left. And then it's going to be her with all the newbies, and they're going to turn on her. They're not going to want a vet to get to the end because they know that the entire jury is made up of vets. So a vet would probably vote for a vet to win, saying, wow, you outlasted all of us. We don't want a new person to win, or whatever. Maybe they might say that. Who knows? But the point is that you don't want to be the only vet left with the ton of newbies until the very, very, very end. And I think it's way too early to be the only vet left.
Yeah, and I think also too, I think Ika needs to look at this as, and I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say basically, go ahead, Brent, jump in here, save me.
What I was gonna say was,
throw me a raft.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna save you since I could tell you were dying for a second there, and I've been there, by the way. I've totally been there. No one has been there to save me.
Me too.
What I was gonna say was that I feel like that Ika should make the move, also because, she is somebody that is looked at as a trophy. So many of the house guests are talking about, well, if I get Ika out, the jury will love me because the jury, as it stands, hates Ika. And I don't think that they're necessarily right about that. Now, would people give them credit for getting Ika out? Possibly, but I do not believe that the jury hates Ika. In fact, I believe that Netta and Cindy would be willing to vote for Ika if she gets to the final two. And the jury certainly doesn't believe that. So that's one thing that's working in Ika's favor at this point, is that people think that she's hated by the jury. On the other hand, they feel like she's a bit of a prize to get out. So she needs to kind of remove that sort of aura around her where people will say, well, if I do this, then I'll win the game, because that's not true. They won't win the game. And Ika obviously would be out of the game because of it.
Yeah, I think having what I was going to say, here's what I was going to say. Kevin and Bruno, having them both in there, I mean, I don't care, who, I know Ika's got this aura about her. As long as Kevin and Bruno are in that house, people are going to be gunning after them and going after them before you are Ika and Demetrius. So I think just from that perspective alone, especially if Ika knows, hey, Kevin and Bruno are going to keep me around, and who knows, we don't know that that's what they're saying. I don't know if they'd fully go through with it, but I think it does make sense for both Kevin and Bruno and Ika and Demetrius to just say, hey guys, look, let's just roll to the end, final four, and not let one of these newbies win this game, because as soon as we go after each other, they're going to have enough ammunition and power to get rid of whoever's left after this war is done. So
I was going to say
two
really
pairs.
Yeah, exactly. 2 pairs. And I also agree with what Alex said on the podcast on Monday, which is that even though by doing this, you probably put Kevin and Bruno in a better position than you are currently. And I'm sure you're saying, well, why would they be in a better position than Ika and Demetrius? Here's the thing. If they save them, then the people, if it's not a unanimous vote, if it's like 3-3 and Demetrius breaks the tie, or 4-2, the people who are left out of that, or who were trying to get Bruno out of the house, if they win HOH, they're going to take their wrath out on Ika and Demetrius. They're not going to go after Kevin and Bruno. You always go after the person who wronged you, not the person that caused the wrong. If you're the person who actually causes it to happen, people are going to hold you accountable for it. So that's why I feel like if anything's holding them back, it might be that.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. And going back to also your point earlier, Brent, in terms of and how this jury is going to vote, if Ika is in the final two, Ika is winning this game. I don't care who she's against. I think this jury, especially Netta and Cindy, yes, they were fooled by Ika and they were taken up by her. But both of them are going to respect the fact that Ika played the hell out of this game and she's a really strong game player. I know that Netta in particular does not want to be viewed as a bitter juror based on conversations I've had with her in the past. And I know the same with Cindy, as somebody who's been on a jury with Cindy. I think Cindy doesn't care who who screwed her over. Cindy just wants to vote for who she thinks played the best game. That's what she did on season 3. I think that's what she'll do with this season as well. One question that I wanted to ask you guys, it's a little random, is Melissa, did anybody find out? I know William was telling some people he told Dre that he had the secret veto. He told Kevin that he had the secret veto, who then told Bruno. Has it gotten back to Ika and Dimitri's that it is 100% William that used that veto to save Kevin?
I don't think so. I think people are still questioning it. I have not seen a conversation where it was explicitly told to them that it was him.
So William is still William's still in a pretty good spot then, Brent.
Yes, amazingly so. Sorry, I was looking at somebody. Somebody stacked in Florida in the chat said no, and I'm like, oh, did we screw that up? But then stacked, you clarified. Ika doesn't know, Dre doesn't know. Okay, or I think she means Dimitri doesn't know. So yeah, William still is in a good spot. Look, I don't understand this. I really don't, because Taryn rightfully said that William, in using the secret power of veto, people will know that it's him. Karen saw him coming out of the closet.
Right, you'd think that was our biggest point. Yeah. It was that Karen saw him. She would know. She would tell everybody. How would it be secret still? And she still thought it was Jackie or Kevin or Bruno. Like, she just didn't.
And
I'm
again,
so surprised.
Why would Jackie use the veto? Because the house guests are aware of the rules of the secret veto, which is that it didn't keep you safe. So they should. The thing is that the murky rules of the veto, of the secret veto, are what's keeping William's secret, because the house guests think that, well, it couldn't have been William, because if it was William, then it would be obvious that it was him, because he was the only one who was safe because he had the veto. So that's what Jackie was saying. And I'm like, that is the most backhanded logic I've ever heard in my life. But anyway, whatever.
Also, Jackie, you're not helping your case that it was by saying, no, it couldn't have been William. It's like, well, if it couldn't have been William,
then it's you.
Hello, Jackie. So that's funny. Another thing I wanted to touch upon as well, Melissa, in terms of developments within the past 24 hours or so, Dre, what'd you say? It was Dre. You talked pre-show about this. Dre has formed a new alliance of 3 that is agreed to
maybe not an alliance, but more that what happened is that Dimitri and Ika told Dre that they needed to get out Kevin, and they were saying, we need to pull Dylan in to get out Kevin. And basically, they're already planning ahead for next week, which I guess makes sense. But because Bruno's like, they're assuming that Bruno's gone. So they tell Dre, we need to get out Kevin. And they say, we need to pull Dylan in. Let's tell him whatever we need to say, like lies about Kevin. It doesn't matter. Let's get him. So they pull Dylan in, and they tell Dylan lies about Kevin and how Kevin's this giant liar, and how Ika and Dre were in a room with Kevin, and Kevin said this stuff to them that turned out to be lies. Like, this is crazy. And of course, Dylan's like buying right into it. And then right afterwards, Dre talks to Dylan and tells him, don't believe anything that Ika's saying. It's all a lie. If she says that I was in a room with her, I wasn't in a room with her and Kevin. I didn't hear any of this. Like, these are all lies. She told me beforehand that she wanted to lie to you to try and get you to get out Kevin. So don't believe it. And so then essentially that Jackie said that she told her the same thing about lies about Kevin. And they all kind of put it all together and basically said that Dre, Dylan, and Jackie need to keep Kevin, or need to get out Ika and Dimitri's. This is basically essentially what they need to do, is get out Ika and Dimitri's. That's their goal. So it was a very interesting development, and it kind of made me think, maybe they want to keep Bruno to keep him in against Ika and Dimitri's, but then not so much. They didn't quite decide that,
right?
But they are against Ika and Dimitri's, and
that is a really big development, because up until I think today, Dylan has been saying, okay, so we're going to get out Kevin next, and then Jackie. I mean, like, he's been following the plan as devised by Ika and Dimitri's. I mean, he's basically, like, I'm not throwing shade at the guy, but he's a very basic Big Brother player that just thinks from A to B to C, whereas players like Dre are capable of going from A to C and going back to B, if that's the order that she wants to do it in. And I feel like that he has to be told, this is what we need to do, and he'll go along with it. He's never just going to come up with something on his own.
Yeah, didn't Dylan even say in the diary room on his HOH, he's like, yeah, people are coming to me with plans, and I'm just gonna go with whatever makes sense. Like that's just Dylan, I feel like, and hey, it's working for him. He's in a pretty good spot right now, so I don't know if I can fault him for it.
Right.
All right, let's take some questions, guys. If you want to send those in, you can tweet me at Jordan Parhar on Twitter. Make sure you use hashtag RHAPpy so that way I can see it when I'm going through my little search on Twitter. This first question comes from Jordan Chong. Jordan says, what is Kevin's path to the end? So this is an interesting question. So sounds like Kevin was being targeted, still is being targeted by Ike and Dimitri's, but could be okay next week, depending on who wins this HOH, Melissa.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the HOH. I think that, if Ike somehow wins HOH, things could be really bad for Kevin next week. But I think that if anybody else wins HOH, it could be really good for Kevin, and he could just slip under the radar this next week, because Ike and Dimitri's is the big target for the entire house. So I think that it really depends on how HOH goes.
Brent, what do you think? What's in terms of if Kevin, let's say hypothetically, Kevin does not win HOH next week and one of those middle people wins the HOH, what should the game plan be for Kevin to make it all the way to the end of this game?
He needs to. You're saying if one of the middle people wins, somebody like William, let's take out William. Somebody like Dre or Dylan or Jackie. Yeah. I feel like the play is that he hopefully gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, and I know that's amazing to say about a guy like Kevin Martin, gamer, professional poker player, returnee, fan favorite, but he could get lost in the shuffle a little bit because a lot of people really don't respect his game. And some people on the outside don't really respect his game. So I feel like that he's one of those people that I feel like his game as viewed by the people on the outside is probably pretty accurate as to how the people in the house view it. And so because of that should work in his favor. I always think that somebody like Dimitri's or Ika would be evicted before Kevin, but the thing that works against him is his sketchiness, his shadiness. And let me be clear, he's not sketchy or shady for the most part, but he comes off that way.
Yeah.
He comes off very like Shireen in
Survivor.
Worlds Apart. Very always thinking, always coming up with something. And I don't think he is, but that's the way that people perceive him. And in a reality game show, perception is reality. So in order for him to get to the end, he has to hope that Ike and Dimitri's are targeted this coming week, or miracle of miracles, Ika wins and decides to target some people in the middle. And I think that she would. In fact, I'm positive she would not go after Kevin if she wins HOH. And if that happens, that might cause a war between Ike and Dimitri's and the middle. And then Kevin would definitely squeak through then.
Yeah, I think, as hard as this is, I mean, it sucks. I loved this pairing of Kevin and Bruno in this game, but for Kevin's long-term game, I do think this is pretty good in terms of him sticking around for a couple more weeks. I don't know. It's just Big Brother Canada, so who freaking knows what's going to happen? How many people are left after this? There's 8 after tomorrow, correct? Do we know? There's going to be, it's Kevin.
Yeah, there's 8 left after tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, so 8 left after tomorrow. We have 3 weeks until the finale on May 18th. So if we're we're getting down from 8 to 3 by finale night. So we need to get rid of 5 people in a span in that time frame. Do we think there's going to be a triple at some point? I saw some rumors on the internet today. You don't think so, Brent?
No, because come on, you guys. Like, we know how this works. Like, at Final 6 to Final 5 and then onward, like, they really speed it up, and thank God they do, because there's not a lot of strategy happening in the house. I mean, in Big Brother US and Big Brother Canada, Final 5 happens, and then they usually surprise them, and then they do the Final 4, and they think they have, nominations and a veto the next day, and then they have an eviction that night, and we're quickly down to 3, and then 3 is on finale night. So, I feel like
it's really quick.
So maybe a double then?
I'm sure we're going to have another double. Yes, we're going to have a double eviction, but that's all they need in order to make it to the end.
Okay, well,
that would be really great if the double falls on the night that we do Big Brother Know-It-Alls on Thursday in Toronto. I'm just saying. That would be
Producer, a very good night. Yes,
that would be.
Hey, you never know. That would be your campaigning could work, Brent. I think that would be perfect. So hopefully that is what yeah, I think that could make sense. And then have that final, the one before that on the Sunday. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Keep an eye on that. Okay. This one is
somebody, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but somebody in the chat, Stacked in Florida, said, and no jury buyback. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, there's none.
At this point that Netta is not going to win Big Brother 5, as Rob famously predicted a couple weeks ago after she was evicted. No tea, no shade at Rob, because there always has been a buyback in Big Brother Canada, but I don't believe they're going to do it this time.
Yeah, they did say, there was somebody who was in the chat, I believe it was last week, maybe the week before, who said it came up at the eviction. Usually production fields questions from the audience, and one of them was, is there going to be a jury buyback this season? And production said, no, it is not happening. There is no buyback this year. So there is your answer. If this person and if production was being truthful there, I think you just can't with this amount of people left in the game. Just not enough time. Okay, this question is from Yamirt. Yamirt says, what do you think about the edit Kevin is getting this season? Interesting edit we're getting from Kevin so far, Melissa.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I feel like they're trying to make him out to be this and strategist who, feels no emotions toward anyone and is just gaming. And I don't think that that's what's going on at all. So I think it's pretty funny that that's the way they're choosing to go. I mean, I think that their edits of people are very interesting this time around. I mean, they gave Netta like just the worst edit ever. And I think she was a lot more nuanced than what they were portraying her as. And then Ika is just, this until this episode or until these most recent episodes. But she was just this sweet, funny, fun, showmancy, like I'm in love kind of girl, which isn't what she's been doing. I mean, she's been controlling like a lot of the game and, getting in fights with people too. And so, and now they've got Kevin as this mastermind. So I think it's interesting the way they're choosing to portray people. I don't know where they're getting this stuff from because it's not the same as the feeds I'm watching.
They got to craft their story. That's what they're doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Brent, what you have any thoughts on Kevin's edit?
Kevin's edit, I feel like that they're still trying to make him out to be the player that he said he was going into Big Brother Canada 3. And he's really not that guy. I mean, I feel like he's a little bit more comfortable with himself. I feel like he understands the game better. I feel like he understands that maybe he's not as good of a player as he thought he was. And the edit really doesn't show a whole lot of that. The only thing that I was heartened to see by the edit was on Monday's show, after they lost the HOH competition, you saw him in the diary room just broken. And I don't know that you've ever seen Kevin as broken in the diary room as you did right after Dimitri's won HOH, and when they have to scamper and think of a plan real quick to save him and Bruno to make sure at least one of them was off the block, which of course didn't ultimately happen. I was going to comment really quickly about Netta's edit wasn't great, but I feel like that in many ways it was probably more, I'm going to say this, my hot take for tonight, I feel like it was more accurate than most people probably give it credit for. Because somebody sent me this, I don't know if you've watched it, but it was the Netta Supports Strong Women video on YouTube that someone put together. Actually, I don't know. It's called, Netta Supporting Strong Women is the name of it. And it is just a devastating takedown of Netta and some of the stuff that she said she believes in, and then some of the stuff she said in the house. And I love you, Netta, but you're a little bit hypocritical. So yeah, I feel like the edit was probably pretty accurate on Netta. But that's
I think it's one of those things where it's like everybody says, yeah, well, if she didn't actually say those things, they wouldn't be on the show. But it's like so many people say so many things, and why pick out those exact things to put and only put in those things? Why not show the video of her? I mean, the live feed clip of her apologizing to Cindy.
Thank you.
After the insult corner. Like, why not choose to show the other side of things? Like, why only choose these specific clips that make her look horrible? Like, yeah, sure, she did say it. I can't sit there and say like, well, it's all faked. It's faked, because it's not. It's real. She did say it, but they just chose the absolute worst things to put of her. And if you chose the absolute worst things of Ika or of Karen or of anybody else, it wouldn't look good for anybody. So I just feel like it was very selective in what they chose to put. And I'm not sitting there and defending some of the stuff that she did or some of the stuff that Ika did or whatever, but I will say that I do think they chose very specific clips of her to show in order to craft that character.
All right, let's take another question. This one is from Wesley. Wesley says, what would Jackie have to do in the coming weeks to have a chance to win against anyone other than maybe Dylan? Do we have thoughts on this? Brent, is there anything Jackie can do to gain the respect of the jury?
Well, I feel like she probably just needs to keep playing the game that she's playing. Like, I don't feel like you can just become somebody at this point in the game. I mean, she's playing the rat floater game. I feel like she needs to own that. I don't know offhand, maybe Melissa can help me out, of a woman who has played the rat floater game and won. I mean, you guess you could call June a rat floater, but I never viewed her as a rat. She was just a floater. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the chat room can help me, but like, it would be amazing if she could get to the end and win. She's going to have to get a kernel of respect, and maybe that's winning a comp or two. Maybe that's taking out a player, or maybe that's taking out, maybe that's not going after Ika. Maybe that's saying, you know what, I'm going to put my distrust of her aside. We made up. I'm going to go after somebody else and explain to the jury, assuming she made it to the final two, you know, I didn't play with my emotions. If I did, I would have targeted Ika. Clearly, I am a gamer. I was thinking of what to do. This is why I made this move at this time with these people. And she has been talking with some people in the house about who she's going to target. So I feel like she's fighting against her emotions, because I think part of her wants to go after Ika and Dimitris. Part of her wants to go after Karen if she stays. I know, right? But because she feels like Karen's going to put her up, so she's trying to make that out to be a game move. Yeah.
Which I guess, hey, the object of the game. I mean, yeah, Ika and Dimitris have no reason to go after Jackie. They're not scared of her at all. Whereas, yeah, if Karen is going to put you up, then yeah.
I feel like for a player like Jackie, going after somebody like Karen is the perfect play. Number one, she would probably put you up, maybe, or she has no real loyalty to you. She doesn't really like you. Number two, somebody like her is I'm speaking of Karen, is the Victoria. She's always going to be a placeholder for a seat that you want. You want to be the person on the block who people look at and say, nah, I'm going to evict the other person who's sitting next to you. But if Karen is there and you ever end up on the block next to her, I feel like you're in severe danger of being evicted. So you always, I would be terrified of players like Karen. Anybody who is a shoe-in, a quote-unquote shoe-in, to get to the finals, you want to get rid of those people like Peely on your season, Jordan, Nikki Graham on Big Brother Canada 4. Those are the people you should be scared of, because there's only 2 seats in the final 2, and they're going to take up one of them if you let them get further, because no one else will evict them.
Yeah, I feel like that is a good pitch that Bruno and Kevin could have used this week against Karen, and to get votes for Bruno. Melissa, have they tried that at all, or no?
They've tried a lot of things, but I think they've kind of resigned themselves to the fact that I get it. I mean, Kevin keeps saying, like, I still have hope for you, but Bruno's just like, it's not happening. And so they've kind of turned their attention to helping Kevin for moving forward in the game. Yeah. So like studying for the, upcoming competitions, or, talking about or trying to create relationships that Kevin can build upon. And they just don't really have a hope at this point in their minds. And I think for Jackie, I think the one thing for her is, if she gets to the end somehow, the one argument she has is, I did this all by myself. I had no one. Like, I had nobody the entire game. I had not that it's going to work, but just saying, I had nobody's help. Nobody wanted to work with me this entire game, and I'm at the end. That's the only thing she has.
Do you think it would help if she sang the song?
Yeah. And they're like, please stop singing.
Yeah, production would, in the middle of the thing, in the final speech, Jackie, please stop singing. I think the other thing too, I think for Jackie, in terms of getting respect, I think winning competitions is the easiest way to gain respect from the jury, because that is the one thing that you can point to while you're in the jury. When you're in the jury house, you can't see what's going on. You don't know, you just have to go based off of what other people are saying. But when people say, hey, so-and-so won this competition and this competition and this competition. Like for my season, when it got down to the end, when Ashley Wood was, balling out and winning all these comps, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to consider, Ashley was my friend, so I wanted an excuse to vote. But that gave me, I was like, okay, well, hey, she's building a bit of a case for herself. And there were other people in the house who before weren't giving her any credit, were saying, hey, Ashley's doing pretty good at this game. So I think that's probably the easiest way for people in the jury to respect somebody's game, because they can't really see anything else that they're doing. Cough, cough, Godfrey Manguiza. Right, Brent? Okay.
Yes, I agree. I was going to ask you really quickly, so this is perfect time. I know in Big Brother US, they show people the competitions for HOH and veto and whatnot, but on Big Brother Canada, do you guys get to see the competitions?
During my season, we did not see any of the competitions. So, yeah. So, I mean, people described them pretty well. Like, 100 Minutes of Hell. I didn't see that, but I had a very good idea as to what that comp looked like in my head. And then when I watched the episode, I was like, okay, yeah, that's about it. So, we had no footage of it, which was disappointing.
Did they show you like the nominations or anything like that, or did
nothing.
they just?
We had no footage.
Wow.
We had no footage. Yeah, we had to go strictly based off of what people said. So the person coming into jury easily could have
they could have just made anything up.
They could have made up anything. They could have been like, I know on the edited episode, Bruno was like in the car, like driving to jury, and he was like, yeah, I'm playing this jury game hard. He's like, I'm gonna lie and say stuff in here. I'm still playing the game. And Bruno didn't do that, but he easily could have.
Well, he said that on the feeds recently. He told Kevin, he was like, Kevin's like, I don't know if I could win, or he said something like that, and Bruno's like, well, he's like, I'm going to tell the jury like what you're doing, and if like you're not doing it, I'm just going to make it up. She's like, I'm just going to make it up. And so I was like, oh, you're going to make it up? Like, but they're going to see the video. Well, apparently you guys don't see the video, so he totally could make it up.
No, Bruno could say whatever he wants. He really could. I mean, eventually more people are going to come to the jury and they're going to be like, that's not really what happened.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah,
but it could work. Yeah.
It could definitely work. So there is hope for Jackie yet. Go ahead, Brent.
I just want to say really quickly that I have extra reason to be pissy about the fact that they did not show us the complete power of veto ceremony, because if they're going to also show us the Netta meeting the next juror on tomorrow's show,
yes, thank you.
Then that's more time that we've lost that we could have been spending on that.
Thank you, Brent. I forgot about that. That could be 5 minutes.
Oh, God.
In Netta and Cindy.
They're going to just stuff everything in.
Yeah, so we're supposed to get secret veto used on Kevin. He said, well, first, let me back up. Previously on Big Brother Canada, we're going to get 5 minutes.
15 minute.
That stupid recap that we get. That's way too long every episode. I'm sorry. It is.
Way too long.
Then we're going to get the secret veto thing. Then we're going to get Karen going at Kevin. Then we're going to get strategizing of Bruno trying to save himself.
Yep.
Then we're supposed to fit in Cindy and Netta, and then the vote, and then the HOH comp. And all, they're just not going to be able to fit all that. And Dimitri's bear costume. Where did that come from? I feel like that has to be.
They're just not going to mention it. They're just going to have him show up in a bear costume and just not say anything. Just see if anyone says something.
Yeah, guys, production. I'm sorry, but we wanted.
By the way,
go ahead.
The other thing that we left out, I can't. I wasn't on the show on Monday night, so the boys didn't really touch on this too much. Or I'm not throwing them under the bus. It was just there's a lot of things to keep in track of. And the Ika and Dimitris had this huge fight where Ika was like she couldn't sort out her feelings for Dimitris, and it went on for a day and a half. And Dre was the intermediary in regards to that. So I don't, maybe it won't end up having an effect, but it's something to keep in mind for the future. If they do have another fight, or if you're thinking of why do they trust Dre so much, it's because she's the go-between between Dimitri and Ika when they have a fight. For those who don't know, like I said, this is my new phrase for the week, by the way, some shady boots editing in regards to the family videos, because when they showed Ika's family video, they showed it up close for like a half a second and then did a pullback to here where you could barely see it. It was such a wide shot, so you couldn't really see the expression on the face of her baby daddy, and he was not happy. He made sure that Ika was aware that he wasn't happy. So then Ika watches the video and she gets upset with herself because she's like, well, why is he unhappy? Am I being played here? Is he mad that I'm with Dimitris? What's going on? And when you're in the house, your emotions are a wreck anyway. So that fight lasted for a day and a half, and we're probably never going to, they won't even show 2 seconds of it on the show tomorrow because they have too many other things to show.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was, trying to follow on Twitter, and it just didn't make sense to me. But now that you laid it all out like that, I get where it's coming from. But yeah, interesting, interesting choice of what to include in the episodes and what to leave out. Because I would have liked to see that on the episode. That would have been nice. I think a lot of people would have liked to see that too. But maybe, I think they do love Jamaica, so I think they want to.
Well, they need to show that it's not all unicorns and rainbows with them.
They want to show that it's real. It's
right.
Real
it's a much more complicated relationship.
Yeah. So I don't know, but that makes sense with Dre though. You got the couples counselor. You gotta trust her. You have to trust her. I think that does make sense there. This question is from, we'll take a couple more and then we'll wind things down. This one is from TJ Notes. TJ says, does Jamaica have a fighting chance? Bruno and Kevin talked about Kev targeting them next week. It's Jamaica versus the house. Hashtag RHAPpy Hour. I feel like they don't. I mean, one of Dimitris or Ika is going home next week unless Ika wins that HOH. In my opinion, Melissa, do you see it that way?
I mean, it's very likely, considering that the only way that they're both safe pretty much would be if Ika wins. And, she doesn't really have that great of a track record in terms of winning comps. So I think that, I don't see them lasting through the week unless, they're both on the block. One of them wins veto. Someone else goes up that's like a bigger target somehow, like something happens, and then they end up getting that other target to go. But I don't see the two of them making it to the final 2 together. I definitely think that one of them's going to go, and then the other person might fade into the background because they're not part of a pair anymore. And, maybe they'll get to the end, but I don't see them getting to the end together.
I do agree that they likely will not make it to the final 2. However, I am not convinced that if that Kevin Martin wins HOH tomorrow, that he will target them. Because are you really going to ask me to believe that he's going to target Ika, the only other vet remaining in the house? Really? Are you really going to ask me to believe that he's going to target Dimitris, a really big, strong guy who is an excellent shield, remove Dimitris from the playing board, and who's the biggest guy there? I know you could say Dylan, but I feel like the most athletic guy is Kevin. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he doesn't want that tag with 7, after another eviction with 7 people to go. I really don't. I know Kevin has been saying to other people in the house, but again, the people in the chat room, what's he gonna say to them? What's he gonna say to Karen? Is he gonna say, I'm gonna target you, bitch? No, he's not gonna say that. He's a good Big Brother player, or at least, better than average, and he's not gonna tell her to her face that he's gonna target her. I really do believe that if Kevin, or even possibly William, if he wins, I'm losing my voice. Wow.
Yeah, Brent, finally, after all this time where Brent is yelling on these shows,
anyway,
finally caught up to him.
I know, it's funny. I'm kind of amazed. I was like, really? That's happening? No, I really do feel like if he wins HOH, then Ika and Dimitris, there'll be a lot of hand-wringing about it, but they'll be safe. If William wins HOH, I think they could be safe, but we'll see.
We'll see.
People are starting to think of Kevin and William as a pair, because they're saying once Bruno leaves, they're going to be a pair. And you've got the pair of them, the pair of Ika and Dimitris. I agree that I don't know if I see Kevin trying to target the only other pair.
I agree.
It could go either way.
Something that when Kevin and I have talked about strategy in the past a lot, something that's come up a lot when we've talked about this is the idea of having those big shields in front of you. And that isn't really a strategy. I mean, we saw Kevin try to get close with Gary early in the season. It just didn't work out with, where the numbers slide and everything like that. But I think now that now that him and Bruno have been separated, I would, if things change. He's been in the house for quite some time, but if he's thinking the way he was thinking the last time him and I talked strategy, I do agree with Brent. I think he is going to keep Demetrius and Ika in the house because it just doesn't make sense for him.
Yeah, because then the next week he can't play for HOH. Let's say Demetrius is out of the house.
He needs Demetrius to win HOH to save him the following week.
Yeah.
And I think what better way to get Ika and Demetrius' trust than by winning HOH and by not putting either.
And they would make a formidable trio. Maybe you could include William in that for a quartet, but I feel like William is wishy-washy when it comes to him and Dre and him and Kevin. Whose side is he really on? But if they could take possession of that and own that, and let's say this: Kevin wins HOH, says to Ike and Demetrius, "I'm with you guys. I understood why you made the move last week. I tried to tell you I was with you. I'm still telling you I'm with you. I'm not putting you on the block. We're going after these people in the middle. It's us four until the end, or us three, however he wants to play it." I feel like any other move is wrong.
Yeah, well, because when someone's in a vulnerable position or when they think that they could get out, they'll say anything. And so him saying to them when he's on the block, potentially ready to go home, saying, I'm with you, that doesn't mean anything. But if he is in a position of power and he still says, I'm with you, and he still protects them, that shows that he actually is with them. And I think that definitely would gain their trust.
And I really don't feel like if, let's say he did that, the next week, I don't believe that Demetrius and Ika would go after Kevin. I don't believe they would. I think that they would really, really be like, wow, he really is with us. So, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope for Kevin's sake, as a member of Team Kevin, I hope that's what happens. I hope he wins, and I hope he keeps them safe because I think I'm just tired. I don't want to flip on my TV in 2 weeks and see the jury segment where it's Meta, Cindy, Bruno, Ika, Kevin, all sitting there looking at each other like a bunch of cartoon villains who got caught and say, what were we doing? How did we end up in this position? Like, we should have just teamed up and worked together. This just doesn't make any sense. But alas, that is going to do it for this edition of the RHAPpy Hour. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If the chat room could get some hashtag ideas going, that would be great. Just some housekeeping stuff. I am not able to attend the show tomorrow, so apologies for that. I have a prior engagement that I am scheduled to attend, so I will not be here, but don't worry, you're in good hands. Taryn Armstrong will be hosting the RHAPpy Hour tomorrow, so big shout out to Taryn for filling in behind the host chair. Brent will be there as well, as long as his voice doesn't give out between now and then. Alex Kidwell, I believe, will be there too. And I don't know, Melissa, are you going to be there, or we don't know yet? We'll see.
I think I'm scheduled to be there. I think the plan is I'm supposed to be there. Okay,
cool. So I think we're getting a full LFC roster tomorrow, so that should be fine. so definitely check that out. Sunday, the LFC show will be back. Sorry, I'm going from A to C to B. Also on Friday, I believe that's when Rob will have his exit interview out. So keep your Friday will be when it is out. So be on the lookout for that exit interview with, we assume, Bruno, unless something crazy happens. So keep your eyes out on that. And then, again, robiswebsite.com/TorontoBBCan if you want to go hang out with Rob, the LFC, and some BBCan alumni in Toronto next month.
Yes.
Okay, hashtags. We're looking here.
I feel like you said it, Jordan, because the hashtags I see in the chat room are pretty terrible. I mean, no offense, no tea, no shade, people, but Bruno evicted. I mean, girl, please. I mean, I love you, but no. BB hates us. No. I feel like it was A to C to B.
A to C to B. Yeah,
I said that earlier, and then you said it. Yeah,
I think that makes sense. So let's go with that. We're gonna go with hashtag A to C to B. I will be back next Wednesday. Hopefully, my guest doesn't have work, but I will announce it now. Well, I'll just announce it now because why not? I love, people accuse me all the time, what, JP, you suck up to everybody, blah, blah, blah. Maybe not so much now. That used to be a thing. But honest to God, this is my favorite BBCan guest. I think you know this because I talk this guy up all the time. Godfrey Manguiza will be returning to the RHAPpy Hour next Wednesday. Probably the last time Godfrey is on the RHAPpy Hour ever, which really makes me sad. So we will have.
Just to be clear, wait, I can stop you real quick because you said this a couple of times. The RHAPpy Hour was an invention that you had, but we will still be here after the episode.
Oh yes. Oh no, I'm
just people. You keep saying that. People keep thinking, are you guys going away?
Just to clarify, the RHAPpy Hour podcast will retire. The LFC will continue. There will still be Big Brother Canada RHAP-ups. There will still be the LFC show.
The name is retiring.
The name is retired. Everyone's still around.
Everyone's
Don't
still
worry.
here.
I
Yes.
won't be here. I'm just Brent. Selfishly for me, I just like talking to Godfrey on the podcast. So
You're taking
that's-
your copyright with you. That's what it is.
Yes, I am. Until maybe one day I am hashtag risen again with 2 S's. I don't plan on that, but you never know. So I think that's why Rob is retiring the name. But anyway, or until another Big Brother Canada alum wants to come on and be a host of an RHAPpy podcast, which I think would be great. I would love to see that on BB Can 6. You never know. Maybe that'll happen. Anyway, that is going to do it for this edition of the RHAPpy Hour. We will see you guys next time. For Brent Wolgamott and Melissa Deni, I'm Jordan Parhar. Hashtag A to C to B. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Peace out.